Well, hello. Some of you might be wondering, what's this site all about? Who's this guy called Daniel Davern? What's the Davern Journal all about? Is this a documentary? What's going on? Well, let's fill you in on a couple of details. My name is Hugh Chatfield. I am the producer, director of Daniel's Journal, a documentary about very early Canada. Now, I am a full-time student at Algonquin College. I'm enrolled in the new postgraduate documentary production program that is running for its very first year, and I'm in my second term now, and Daniel's Journal is my second term documentary project. It's a fairly major undertaking for a first documentary. I'm shooting in 3 different towns: Ottawa, Perth, and Adolphustown. I have a cast of dozens of people in the documentary. What's it about? Well, we have to go back to the early 1800s. The British had just finished fighting the Americans in the War of 1812 and decided it was high time that they established a permanent military presence in Canada, just in case those Americans decided to try to attack us again. They decided to establish the first of these settlements at Perth, Ontario. So Perth was established in 1816 as a military settlement. Now, Daniel Davern was working for the Quartermaster General's office in Kingston along with his brother Richard. Now, Daniel was hand-selected to be the secretary storeskeeper in Perth because he came very highly recommended. Now, the history books subsequently paint Daniel Davern as a criminal, a scoundrel, an all-round bad guy. And that's what history says up to pretty much the present time. Now, is history always true? Could it be mistaken? Good question. Now, even the smallest of events can cause ripples, which can cause history to be questioned, perhaps even rewritten. Case in point, when the Thomas Wright Building was being renovated and restored in downtown Heritage Perth, a workman who had been hired to clear the rubble noticed in a pile of rubble something that looked like a very old book. Now, he could have just taken a shovel and thrown that into the dumpster and it'd be sitting in landfill right now. But he didn't. He picked it out of that rubble pile, took it a few doors down to the Perth Museum, and showed it to the curator at the museum. This triggered a whole series of events, which eventually caused new information to be discovered. That's what this documentary is about. It will show you what history says about Daniel. It will reveal from the first discovery of the journal a series of serendipitous events, which then caused new information to surface. And that new information is an alternate history of Daniel Davern, quite different from what the history books tell us. Which is true? You'll have to decide. You will be asked to be the jury. You'll be asked to decide whether Daniel is, as history portrays him, a villain, a criminal, an all-around bad guy, or is he innocent of those charges? Is he, as the alternate history portrays, a victim? A victim of a conspiracy by his superior officers. Instead of being a bad person indifferent to the miseries and sufferings of the settlers, is he perhaps a humanitarian, bending the military orders a little in order that the people of the Perth settlement can survive? Now, as it turned out, the years 1816, 1817, 1818 were perhaps the worst possible years in history to try to build a settlement in the middle of nowhere. Volcanic eruptions elsewhere on the planet filled the atmosphere with ash, and temperatures plummeted to record lows in North America. In Quebec City, there was a foot of snow on the ground in the middle of June. In the Perth settlement, everything that was planted froze in the ground. There was no food. The lives of the settlers depended 100% on the supply lines back to Great Britain. I should mention that I am indebted to the Perth Museum and all its volunteers, and to the relatives, the living relatives of Daniel Davern, who live to this day on the very farm in Adolphustown that Daniel Davern bought for his parents. Stay tuned to this website and the companion Facebook page to see when the very first screenings of Daniel's journal will be held. We are planning the first screenings in Ottawa, in Perth at the Perth Museum, and in Adolphustown. These will take place approximately around the end of April, the 1st of May, into June. So stay tuned to this website for further details, dates, and times.